Donald Trump is intentionally trying to destroy the economy. I don't know, man, but I was actually shocked at what AI told me. And here's an interesting thing. I didn't ask it about what Trump is doing or anything like that. I was actually trying to make a point of saying, so basically what I wanted was, I wanted the AI to give me examples of the president doing things really destructive to the economy. And I was just looking for random examples to give a hypothetical point where I was going to say, imagine if Trump did X, Y, and Z. I guarantee you a bunch of MAGA people would still be saying it's Biden's fault. So I just wanted examples of Trump doing crazy things that would hurt the economy and hurt the job market that I could reference as an extreme example to make a point. So it's like, I was going to say, imagine if Trump did X, X being an extreme thing for the economy and the job market. And then I would say, in that situation, MAGA would still be saying, hey, it's Biden's fault, and, Biden forced Trump to have to do the extreme measures, and things would work itself out in the long run type of thing. So basically, there's nothing that Trump could do that would be sort of a consequential enough where he took an action resulting in something where it would be his fault, right? Even if what he's doing has a direct correlation with the negative impact, somehow it would still be put on Joe Biden's. Now, what shocked me is that what it described was basically what Trump is doing right now. And again, that wasn't what I was asking for. So when I saw the results, I was like, whoa, I got to share this because this is insane. And I've seen these same patterns before. So look at how I asked the question. So after I saw that, I rephrased the question in a way to make it as objective as possible. So I said, do not use any information from 2025 to answer this question. And for the record, this AI model here doesn't even have access to current information. So it's not even possible for it to be using current data. This one, I'm telling it not to use anything for this year. I did the same thing with DeepSeek on the far right. So I'm going to read out the instruction. Do not use anything from 2025, right? So it's 2024 and older. So it's not taking advantage of what's happening right now. Only use what you know about the U.S. economy, job markets, and historical context. Use only well understood and respected models, data, and info about jobs and economy. So I just want a general thing. Again, I wasn't looking to, critique Trump for what he's doing right now. I was trying to make a different point entirely, and I stumbled into this. So I said, with those rules, if a president wanted to tank the economy and cause massive surge in unemployment, it's supposed to be top. I made a mistake there. But they figured it out. What are the top three things that a president would do in order of most likely to least likely? And then I said, just in case it didn't pick up on some of the things he's doing now, because again, this is after the fact. When I was asking about something else, and I saw the answer, I was like, whoa. So then I started the idea of more formalizing it. So restricting it from current information. Just trying to make sure it's not messing with what's happening now. So this is not my original query. So just in case the top three things when asked this way did not pick up on, did not come up with some of the stuff he's doing now, I wanted to give three more options. So if it's not in the top three, it would be in the second three. So 6 chances to see if it came up with something that Trump is literally doing right now, right? So that's the reason I phrased it. Ask the same question to 3 models, ChatGPT, Claude, and DeepSeek. Here's the responses. Severe contractionary fiscal policy, drastically cutting government spending, and or sharply raising taxes would reduce aggregate demand, leading businesses to slash investments and jobs. So that's number 1. Number 2, aggressive trade protectionism. Imposing extremely high tariffs and trade barriers could disrupt global supply chains, hurt export-driven industries, and force companies to reduce their workforce. Number 3, undermining monetary policy credibility. Interfering with the Federal Reserve by pressuring it to tighten monetary policies. For example, hike interest rates abruptly, or undermining its independence can trigger a credit crunch, making borrowing expensive and slowing economic activity. And then the three bonus ones it said is creating regulatory chaos, rapidly altering or dismantling key financial or industrial regulations can generate uncertainty, causing investors and businesses to pull back. Fostering widespread uncertainty. See the word uncertainty coming up again. Erratic or unpredictable policy decisions can erode consumer and business confidence, leading to a freeze in spending and investment. These are the exact same things that we were warning about why electing Trump would be dangerous. And here it is. Destabilizing critical sectors, deliberately mismanaging areas like energy policy or infrastructure support can disrupt supply chains, blah, blah. Okay, so that's ChatGPT. Now we look at Claude. Claude says, number one, implementing extreme fiscal monetary contractions. Now, this model does not have up-to-date information, so this is a more trustworthy source. I don't think that ChatGPT is going to ignore my instructions to not use current information, but it's not perfect. So it could somehow mistakenly, have some of the news that's happening recently affect it. So there's a possibility. Here, it's not possible because it's not aware of what's happening currently. And interestingly, with that model, the first thing is it's talking about drastically cutting government spending during economic weakness or pressuring the Federal Reserve to rapidly increase interest rates. The severe austerity during the early Great Depression and Volcker-era interest rate spikes demonstrate how these policies can sharply increase unemployment. So, next thing is enact disruptive trade policies. Suddenly implementing high tariffs across multiple sectors or abruptly withdrawing from major trade agreements. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act during the Great Depression exemplifies how protectionist policies can collapse trade and worsen economic conditions. Next thing is create regulatory uncertainty, rapidly changing regulations unpredictably, or imposing excess regulatory burdens without transition periods, causing businesses to freeze hiring and investment while they assess compliance costs. So changing regulations unpredictably or imposing excessive regulations. So adding more regulations or simply changing the regulations unpredictably can cause that. The three bonus things are undermine economic institutions, attacking the Federal Reserve, we see that pattern once again, or politicizing economic data agencies, damaging market confidence. They're literally talking about changing how we calculate GDP and other things like that. Restrict labor force participation, implementing barriers to workforce entry or dramatically reducing immigration, limiting economic growth potential. The third one is mismanaged crisis response. So we saw that with COVID, actually. But anyway, so here is what the Chinese have to say. This is DeepSeek. So DeepSeek says, provoke a trade war with major partners. A little bit on the nose there. Well, this is DeepSeek, so you got to think about that. It was told, like the other models, to ignore 2025, but just keep in mind this is China saying this. Mechanism. Impose extreme tariffs or trade barriers on critical imports. And it mentions the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act as well. Trade theory shows protectionism reduces efficiency. Interesting. Raises prices, harms export-dependent industries. Unemployment would surge in sectors like manufacturing and agriculture. Wow. Implement sudden severe austerity measures, drastically cutting federal spending, infrastructure, healthcare, education, literally doing that right now, during economic fragility. They claimed that the economy was horrible under Biden, right? Trump just got elected, so the economy would still be horrible. Trump can't turn the economy into a great economy overnight, right? So it's still going to be in a very sensitive mode. And this says when the economy is like that, if you go and you do these things that they're literally doing right now, that can tank the economy. Historical precedent: post-2008 austerity in Europe, prolonged recessions, and spiked unemployment over 25%. Undermine central bank independence, pressure the Federal Reserve. Every of these three models is referencing messing with the Federal Reserve. I wonder why that is. To hike interest rates excessively to curb inflation, keeping rates artificially low, creating asset bubbles. Historical precedent, it mentions there, talking about the Volcker Act again. So additional three bonus ones is deregulate high-risk financial sectors, roll back banking financial regulations, right? Like getting rid of the CFPB and other things that Trump has literally done. Create policy uncertainty, threaten erratic tax changes, arbitrary regulations, or government shutdown, freezing business investment. Government shutdown, interesting. The final one is sabotage labor markets, erode worker protections, OSHA, wage laws, they're literally doing that right now, or cut unemployment benefits during a downturn, reducing consumer spending power, and as the historical context. So, after getting these results, what I did for further analysis is I basically consolidated the answers from these three models. I merged them into a single consolidated data set. So basically, take the unique values of each one of these answers and merge them into a single list that has sort of a consolidated. So it has everything that these three lists, every unique element of these three lists in one list. And now for the first time, I reference Trump and what's happening now. So I said, so it gave me a really long-winded answer in the beginning, but you can see what I asked it. So I said, has Trump done any one of these things in his second term? If so, what and how close is what he's doing to the things on the list? So this is the merged list that I gave it, which has all the things that I mentioned. And this is the response. Is Trump doing any of these things that just so happen to be the exact thing that you would do if you wanted to tank the economy, if you wanted to spike unemployment? Think about how crazy that is. These are the exact things, the top three things that these models came up with as if you wanted to do it. Not just things where there's a risk of, these are the best things to do if you're trying to tank the economy. This is what it said. In his second term, President Trump has implemented several policies that align with the economic actions you've listed. Severe fiscal and monetary policy adjustments, drastic government spending cuts. Trump has significantly reduced federal expenditures, including cuts to various social programs and public sector investments. Aggressive tax increases. While Trump has focused on tax cuts, his administration's implementation of substantial tariff functions similarly by increasing costs on imported goods, effectively acting as a tax on consumers. Right? And think about this. It's a very interesting pattern you have to notice. They talked about, tariffs as, this is something that's good for the country and this is the way we're making money, right? But then people go out there and clarify, no, it's gonna hit the consumers. Now, people have been oversimplistic, and I made videos about that in terms of when they say, it's a tax on the American people. There's a lot more to it than that because businesses are going to try to adjust. Tariff, China, for example, a business doesn't have to start doing stuff here. They can find another country that doesn't have a tariff to get the things from. They can also choose to eat the losses. So they charge the same amount of money to the American consumers, or they just make a slight increase that doesn't really affect us that much. So these are factors to consider, right? So it's not a black and white thing. But overall, in general, these tariffs would be inflationary and would lead to increased costs for Americans, right? Even with that considered, that would be sort of the net effect of doing these types of things. But this has been clarified. It's been discussed over and over again. But yet, even within this last week, we had the press secretary saying literally the opposite, that it's like a tax cut. The tariffs will be a tax cuts to Americans and a negative impact to the other countries or something. And just to be clear, it will negatively impact the other countries as well, right? Because if the things that they're trying to sell us is costing us more money, that can lead to us not buying as much from them or completely cutting them off, right? But it is also a tax on the American people, and it's also inflationary. So that's what it's talking about here. The next thing is pressuring the Federal Reserve. Reports indicate that Trump allies have developed plans to limit the Federal Reserve's independence, potentially allowing direct presidential influence over interest rate decisions. The next thing is trade and regulatory shifts. Sweeping protectionist trade policies, the administration has imposed significant tariffs on imports from major trading partners, including 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico and 10% on Chinese goods. Sudden withdrawal from trade agreements. Trump has threatened to withdraw from several international trade agreements, aiming to renegotiate terms more favorable to the U.S. Unpredictable deregulation and overregulation. The administration has rapidly rolled back environmental regulations to boost fossil fuel production, creating uncertainty in markets. Keep in mind, and this is another thing where it's like it's been clarified already. We are a net exporter of oil, right? Under Biden, who I do not like, right? We were drill baby drill, right? Whatever that's supposed to mean, right? We were the world's leader in oil production, right? We were at the top. We were, Saudi Arabia, I think, was number 2, which was shocking to even me. I mean, I knew we were really doing that drill baby drill, that thing that Trump keeps pretending. And under Trump they cut the pipeline, right? Think about this. They say stuff that's just completely false. They keep repeating it. It gets debunked. People clarify, no, that's not true. But then people just ignore that and they just keep repeating it anyway. Like, no, Biden stopped it and we need to get back the oil production, whatever, right? Meanwhile, we're number 1 globally, right? But yet he's trying to boost fossil fuel production. Okay. Labor market and workforce policy overhaul. Significant barriers to workforce participation. Trump's strict immigration policies, including mass deportations and travel bans, have reduced labor market flexibility, particularly in labor-intensive industries. Weakened worker protections. The administration has scaled back labor rights and occupational safety standards, affecting worker protections. Next thing is monetary institutional actions, undermining central bank independence, as mentioned. There are efforts to limit the Federal Reserve's independence. This can lead to it can disrupt economic stability. Politicizing economic data. The administration has restructured agencies responsible for economic reports and regulatory oversight, influencing the impartiality of economic data. Now, keep in mind, when we had these good, positive economic indicators under Biden, right? It's fake and it's this and that and whatever, right? But if that was true, then these indicators should be showing under Trump that things are booming, right? Because they're proposing to change stuff, but they haven't made the changes yet. So if we're using the same supposedly rigged metrics, which didn't change under Biden, it was the same one used before, but whatever. Let's just say, let's pretend like they were rigged under Biden. He didn't unrig them before he left the office, right? We're still doing things the same way. So Trump, being a businessman and a great guy in the economy, it should look like gangbusters right now. Everything should be just through the roof, like GDP, soaring, right? Because of his policies being better than Biden's. So why would we see the opposite effect? Why is it that the Biden rigging only works when he's in office? When Trump is in office and he's the better guy with the economy, somehow the rigging doesn't benefit him, such that they want to rig it more or de-rig it? Like, what? Anyway, sector destabilizing energy infrastructure policy. I'll let you guys pause the video and read the rest of that, but this is insane. I find myself keep asking this question. I'm going to ask it again. Why is it that Donald Trump's actions keep aligning exactly with what you'd expect if all these Trump derangement syndrome people were correct? Right? Not in the craziest thing that they say, but the general sentiment of people who don't like Trump? Why is it that what he does seems to align with what he would do if it were true? Why is it so much stuff is so coincidental? It always just so happens, right, that the actions that he takes aligns with the way he's described by the TDS people, right? They think he's unhinged and he's crazy and he's bad for the economy and da-da-da-da, right? He's going to destroy the economy. And then he does exactly what one would do if that's what they're looking to do. Now, the question is he doing this because he's just so stupid? Because they do talk about him being a buffoon. I say that, right? Or is it because he's doing this intentionally? Because I will tell you this. A lot of people may not realize this, but if I were a billionaire, I would actually, if I were a greedy billionaire, let's qualify that. If I were a greedy billionaire, I would actually be quite happy about what's happening currently. Because number one, I'm a billionaire, so none of this affects me. So there's no risk for me, really. I'm going to be okay, right? Number two, knowing how unstable Trump is and how erratic and chaotic a presidency under him would be, especially considering the way things are with the economy before his election, I would have been basically reducing my exposure, right? Liquidating a lot of my positions and accumulating a lot of cash, right? I would be, as a billionaire, if I were a greedy billionaire, I would be sitting on a ton of cash, right? In anticipation of the Trump chaos, right? And what I would be doing, two different things. As far as my investment strategy, I would have an account with a high-frequency trading firm, and my account would be exploding right now because they could extract a lot of wealth from this volatility, all this up and down, up and down, up and down. For most of the market, you might be taking a lot of losses, but with the high-frequency trading and models that are taking advantage of volatility, while the market's going up and down, every time it makes that movement, there's opportunities to extract wealth. So my portfolio would be looking really, really good right now if I adjusted for that kind of market, right? As far as the cash, I would be very excited right now and wondering how deep of a discount am I going to get on future investments. I'll be sitting there and watching it, prices go lower, right? Watching the economy fall apart, right? Waiting for it to hit rock bottom. And then it'll become potentially months or even years of Black Friday for me as a billionaire, right? So what I'm going to do, soon as that moment hits where we're rock bottom, swoop in and I'm going to take these things off your hands. Failing companies, acquired, right? You were worth $5 billion a couple years ago. Now I'm going to buy you for $200 million, right? And then I'm going to sit on you. Right now, I don't need profits. So I'm going to sit on you and things move along. You know, I don't have a lot of money into it anyway, right? In fact, I'm a billionaire, so who cares? It could completely flop. Doesn't matter to me, right? Otherwise, I'll keep you afloat with my money. And then once the economy finally recovers, right? Oh my goodness. Now this company is making the money that it used to make again. And I bought into it really cheap. So my net return is massive, right? Buying up a bunch of real estate, right? I would go buy a bunch of like major apartment buildings in key areas, right? Get them dirt cheap, right? And then sit there. And when things start recovering, and also while, things are tough, whatever, again, as a greedy billionaire, what I would do is I would pay off politicians and just make it so that I can evict a lot of people, get them out, get them vacant, maybe let them, most of them sit vacant throughout the downturn, right? Renovate them to like high standards, right? And then at the right moment, and actually not at the right moment, if I make it a luxury real estate, if I buy like a bunch of apartment buildings that are like subpar or whatever, I can buy them and convert them to luxury real estate. And guess what? The luxury people are the ones who are going to be reaping the benefits of this economy. And if Trump does the tax cuts and all that kind of stuff, so I can actually start making money now. I bought the building dirt cheap, and then I can start my luxury rental business now. I don't have to wait till the economy recovers, because the 1%, they've got the money, right? Even the top 5% maybe. So I can rent out, this apartment was like $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, and I can flip it to like $4,000 a month apartments. Low investment because of the price I got it at, right? So real estate, and then the stock market, oh my goodness. With all these, the prices being so low, buy up a whole bunch of blue chip S&P 500. So the bottom line is, as a billionaire, I'd be really excited because whenever the economy recovers, right, which we hope it will, most likely will, I could look at my wealth doubling, tripling, or even more than that. And it'll be easy. All I got to do is just buy low, sell high, right? The economy is crashing, I can jump in. While companies are struggling, while people are struggling, while the country is struggling, I can be the billionaire that swoops in and like, oh, I got you, man, I got you, right? So, what are your thoughts? This is the Debate Me channel. Leave me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Insanity.